Welcome back to Stamps Old World UK, the channel where we dive deep into postal history, rare stamp values, and classic philately from around the globe. Today, we are taking a closer look at a recognizable piece of 20th century American philately, the 4-cent Francis Scott Key stamp from the iconic American Credo series. Issued by the United States Post Office Department on September 14, 1960. This stamp was designated as Scott number 1142. The stamp features the famous patriotic quote, "And this be our motto, in God is our trust," along with the signature of Francis Scott Key, who wrote the words that became the American national anthem. Printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing using the Jory press in vibrant carmine and dark blue ink, over 122 million copies were produced. Because of this large printing volume, single examples are quite common today. But understanding its current market value requires examining condition, format, and collector demand. In today's retail and online market, individual used copies typically trade for around 35 cents, while standard mint light hinged or mint never hinged singles generally sell for 50 cents to $2. Collectors looking for mint plate blocks usually see prices around $2.50. And complete full sheets of 50 stamps trade between $20 and $30 depending on the condition and centering. First day covers bearing the Baltimore, Maryland cancellation from September 1960 generally range from $1 to $3, while it is not a rare stamp that will make you a fortune. The 1960 Francis Scott Key Credo issue remains an affordable, historic favorite for collectors building thematic collections around American history, patriotic symbols, or post-war United States postal history. Next up, we are looking at a graphic vector design created to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States, celebrating American Independence Day spanning from 1776 to 2026, while official postal authorities such as the United States Postal Service release commemorative stamps for major historic milestones like the Semiquincentennial. It is important to recognize that this specific design is a decorative vector illustration rather than an official government-issued postage stamp, featuring a classic vintage border, prominent typography, patriotic stars, and a silhouette of the Statue of Liberty set against a red, white, and blue color palette. This artwork mimics the traditional aesthetic of mid-20th century classic postage because this is a digital stock asset and decorative graphic vector rather than postal tender. It carries no face value for mailing or traditional catalog value in philatelic guides. On stock graphic platforms like Shutterstock and Adobe Stock, commercial licenses for vector graphics like this typically range from $10 to $50 depending on the subscription or license tier. If printed as a novelty sticker, souvenir label, or Fox stamp sheet, individual items generally sell online for $1 to $5 as collectible patriotic memorabilia, even as a modern design concept. Artwork celebrating the 250th anniversary of American independence highlights the enduring influence of vintage stamp design in contemporary visual culture. Next up, we are featuring another iconic issue from the 1960 American Credo series, the 4-cent George Washington stamp designated as Scott number 1139, issued by the United States Post Office Department on January 20, 1960, at Mount Vernon, Virginia. This was the very first stamp released in the 6-part American Credo series. Printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing on the Jory press in dark violet blue and carmine, over 126 million copies were produced. The design features the scales of justice alongside a famous quote from Washington's 1796 farewell address, "Observe good faith and justice toward all nations," because of its high printing quantity. Individual copies remain very affordable on the market today. Used single examples typically sell for around 25 to 35 cents, while mint never hinged or light hinged singles generally trade between 50 cents and $2 depending on centering and condition. Collectors seeking a mint plate block usually pay around $2 to $3, and full mint sheets of 50 stamps typically range between $15 and $25. First day covers postmarked at Mount Vernon on January 20, 1960, usually sell for $1 to $3, while it is not a high-value rarity. The 1960 George Washington Credo issue remains an essential, historic piece for any United States or presidential stamp collection. Next up, we are taking a look at another memorable entry from the 1960 American Credo series, the 4-cent Thomas Jefferson stamp, cataloged as Scott number 1140. issued by the United States Post Office Department on May 18, 1960, at Monticello in Charlottesville, Virginia. This was the second stamp released in the popular six-stamp Credo collection, printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing using the Jory press in dark gray, green, and carmine. Over 120 million copies were issued. The central design features Thomas Jefferson's famous signature alongside his powerful statement, "I have sworn hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man," which was originally written in an 1800 letter to Benjamin Rush and is famously inscribed on the interior wall of the Jefferson Memorial. When looking at market values today, this stamp remains very accessible for collectors. Single-used copies typically sell for around 25 to 35 cents, while mint never hinged or light hinged examples generally trade between 50 cents and $2 depending on centering and freshness. Mint plate blocks usually bring around $2 to $3, and full mint sheets of 50 stamps trade between $15 and $25. First day covers with the official Charlottesville postmark from May 18, 1960, generally range from $1 to $3. While it is an affordable vintage stamp, the 1960 Thomas Jefferson Credo issue remains a cherished edition for collectors interested in American founding fathers, political history, and classic mid-century United States philately. Next up, we are focusing on a classic mid-20th century issue, the 3-cent Religious Freedom in America stamp from 1957, cataloged as Scott number 1199, issued by the United States Post Office Department on December 27, 1957, at Flushing, New York. This stamp commemorated the 300th anniversary of the Flushing Remonstrance of 1657. The Flushing Remonstrance was a historic petition written by residents demanding liberty of conscience and freedom of worship for Quakers and other religious groups. Widely regarded as a founding document for religious freedom in America, printed in black ink on the rotary press by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, over 114 million copies were produced, featuring a Bible, an inkwell, a quill, and a pilgrim hat encased in a banner. When looking at the market value today, this stamp remains very affordable for collectors. Single-used copies generally sell for around 25 to 35 cents, while mint never hinged or light hinged singles usually trade for 50 cents to $1. Collectors looking for a mint plate block of 4 typically see prices around $1 to $2.50, while full mint sheets of 50 stamps trade between $10 and $20 depending on condition. First day covers postmarked in Flushing on December 27, 1957, usually bring between $1 and $3, although it is not a rare high-value item. The 1957 Religious Freedom issue remains a meaningful addition to any collection focused on American colonial history and human rights milestones. Next up, we are taking a look at a classic United States commemorative issue from 1931. The 2-cent Battle of Yorktown stamp cataloged as Scott number 703, issued by the United States Post Office Department on October 19, 1931. This stamp marked the sesquicentennial anniversary of the American victory at the Battle of Yorktown in 1781. Printed in 2 colors using the flat plate process by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, the issue features a carmine rose frame with black engraved center vignettes. Designed by C. Aubrey Huston, the stamp displays 3 key Allied leaders side by side, Count de Rochambeau on the left, General George Washington in the center, and Count de Grasse on the right. Around 25 million copies were issued in total. Looking at current market values, this 95-year-old issue remains an affordable staple for collectors. Single-used copies typically sell for around 50 cents to $1 depending on condition and postmark quality. Mint hinged or mint never hinged single examples generally trade between $1 and $3 for fine to very fine centering. Mint plate blocks of 4 usually fetch around $4 to $7, while full mint sheets of 50 stamps trade between $60 and $80. First day covers postmarked on October 19, 1931, generally range from $3 to $6, even though it is readily accessible. The 1931 Yorktown issue remains a beautiful example of classic 2-color American engraving and a favorite among collectors of Revolutionary War postal history. Next up, we are taking a look at a modern patriotic concept artwork created to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States. spanning from 1776 to 2026, while the United States Postal Service issues official commemorative stamps for major historic milestones. It is important to note that this specific eagle design is a digital sticker and novelty concept graphic rather than an official government-issued postage stamp, designed to resemble classic philatelic art. It features a majestic bald eagle with outstretched wings set against the American flag, bold numerical typography marking 250 years, and the word forever along the right margin. Because this design is a commercial print-on-demand artwork and decorative sticker, it holds no postal validity for mailing or standard philatelic catalog value. On online platforms such as TeePublic, Redbubble, and Amazon, physical vinyl stickers and decals featuring this image typically sell between $3 and $6 depending on size and material. Digital graphic downloads or licensing rights for print projects generally range from $5 to $25, even as a novelty concept graphic. Items like this demonstrate how classic postal stamp aesthetics continue to inspire modern patriotic art and commemorative collectibles. Next up, we are examining another modern patriotic concept graphic designed to honor the Semiquincentennial, celebrating 250 years of American independence from 1776 to 2026, while official postal agencies release commemorative issues for national milestones. This distressed vintage-style piece is a digital graphic asset and novelty clip art rather than a legitimate postal-issued stamp. The artwork features an American bald eagle with a patriotic stars and stripes shield on its chest, framed by decorative scrollwork, red banner typography reading America 250, and a perforated outer edge meant to simulate a classic vintage postage stamp, because this design is a commercial graphic asset created for print-on-demand and crafting projects. It holds no face value for postage or official philatelic catalog listing. Digital downloads and clip art files on creative marketplaces such as Etsy and graphic licensing platforms typically sell for between $1 and $5. If printed as a physical vinyl sticker, waterslide decal, or souvenir label, individual items generally retail online between $2 and $6, even as a non-postal novelty. Concept artwork like this showcases how classic stamp design aesthetics continue to inspire contemporary graphic artists and patriotic memorabilia collectors. Next up, we are taking a look at a widely recognized American definitive issue, the 20-cent flag over Supreme Court stamp issued in 1981, cataloged under Scott numbers 1894, 1895, and 1896 depending on format, issued by the United States Postal Service on December 17, 1981, in Washington, D.C. This stamp was released to meet the newly increased first-class domestic letter rate of 20 cents. Designed by artist Dean Ellis, the artwork depicts the American flag waving proudly over the United States Supreme Court building, with James Earl Fraser's famous sculpture, Contemplation of Justice, featured prominently in the foreground. Printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing using intaglio engraving in black, dark blue, and red. This stamp was produced in vast quantities across sheet, coil, and booklet formats. When looking at current market values, this massive quantity definitive stamp remains very affordable for collectors. Used single examples sell on average for 25 to 35 cents, while mint never hinged or light hinged singles trade between 50 cents and $1. Plate blocks of 4 generally fetch $2 to $3, and complete mint sheets of 100 stamps typically trade between $25 and $40. First day covers postmarked in Washington on December 17, 1981, usually range between $2 and $4, while it is not a rare high-value item. The 1981 flag over Supreme Court issue remains a classic example of late 20th century American definitive postal art and patriotic design. Next up, we are focusing on a modern American commemorative issue, the Arizona Statehood Centennial Forever stamp issued in 2012, cataloged as Scott number 4627, issued by the United States Postal Service on February 14, 2012, in Phoenix, Arizona. This stamp marked the 100th anniversary of Arizona joining the Union as the 48th state on Valentine's Day in 1912. Designed by art director Howard E. Payne, the stamp features a breathtaking painting by artist Ed Mell depicting Cathedral Rock in Sedona, capturing the dramatic sandstone formations and warm desert light of Arizona. Printed using the offset process by Ashton Potter, millions of these self-adhesive forever stamps were produced in Payne format, When examining market values today, this modern commemorative issue remains very accessible for collectors. Used single copies typically sell for around 25 to 40 cents, while mint never-hinged single stamps generally trade between 68 cents and $1.50. Collectors looking for a mint block of 4 usually see prices around $3 to $5, and complete full mint sheets of 20 stamps trade between $15 and $25. First day covers canceled in Phoenix on February 14, 2012, generally range from $2 to $4, although it is not a rare high-value item. The 2012 Arizona Statehood Centennial stamp remains a favorite among collectors who appreciate modern American landscape art, state history commemoratives, and Western themes. Next up, we are examining another decorative concept design created to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States, marking the semiquincentennial from 1776 to 2026, while official postal organizations publish genuine commemorative stamps for historic events. It is essential to realize that this image is a digital graphic vector asset rather than an official government postage stamp, designed to mimic a stamp frame with simulated perforations. This artwork features bold typography displaying the number 250, starry patterns, a patriotic circular emblem, and notably, a funny spelling mistake in the text at the bottom reading United States of America, because this design is a commercial vector image intended for digital design, T-shirt graphics, and craft projects. It holds no postal validity or official philatelic catalog status. On stock photography and vector platforms like Dreamstime or Shutterstock, commercial licenses for vector files like this generally range from $10 to $50 depending on subscription plans. If sold on physical merchandise such as custom stickers, novelty labels, or graphic patches, individual pieces typically retail online for $2 to $6, even with typographic errors. Modern concept graphics like this illustrate how classic stamp styling continues to be a popular design theme for patriotic anniversaries and creative artwork. Next up, we are focusing on a beloved mid-20th century United States commemorative issue, the 4-cent Boy Scouts of America stamp from 1960, cataloged under Scott number 1145, issued by the United States Post Office Department on February 8, 1960. In Washington, D.C., this stamp commemorated the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Boy Scouts of America. Designed by iconic American artist Norman Rockwell, the artwork features a young scout giving the three-fingered scout salute, set against a warm background with red and blue typography. Printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing on the Jory Press in red, dark blue, and dark bistre. Over 139 million copies were issued in total. When looking at current market values, this massive quantity issue remains very affordable and easy to collect. Used single copies like the one shown here with a clear circular cancel generally sell for 25 to 35 cents. Mint light hinged or mint never hinged single stamps typically trade between 50 cents and $1.50 depending on centering. Collectors looking for a mint plate block of 4 usually see prices around $2 to $3.50, while complete mint full sheets of 50 stamps trade between $15 and $25. First day covers postmarked in Washington on February 8, 1960, usually range from $2 to $5, while it is an accessible, low-cost stamp. The 1960 Boy Scouts Golden Jubilee issue designed by Norman Rockwell remains a nostalgic favorite for youth organization collectors, American history enthusiasts, and thematic philatelists alike. Next up, we are featuring a classic landmark issue from the famous 1934 National Parks issue, the 4-cent Mesa Verde National Park stamp, cataloged as Scott number 743, issued by the United States Post Office Department on September 25, 1934, at Mesa Verde National Park in Colorado. This stamp was part of a 10-stamp series championed by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to highlight America's natural wonders. Designed by Victor S. McCloskey Jr.B. and engraved by Carl T. Arlt and Edward H. Helmuth. The stamp features a detailed brown view of Cliff Palace, the largest and most famous ancestral Puebloan cliff dwelling in North America. Printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing on flat plate presses with perforation 11. Over 19 million copies were issued in total. Looking at current market values, this over 90-year-old stamp remains very accessible for collectors. Single-used copies generally sell for around 50 cents to $1 depending on condition and postmark clarity. Mint light hinged or mint never hinged single stamps typically trade between $1 and $2.50. Collectors seeking a mint plate block of 4 usually see prices between $10 and $15, while full mint sheets of 50 stamps trade between $60 and $85. First day covers canceled at Mesa Verde on September 25, 1934. Generally range from $10 to $15, while it is an affordable piece of vintage Americana. The 1934 Mesa Verde issue remains a beloved classic among collectors of national parks history, Native American heritage, and pre-war United States postal art. Next up, we are featuring what many philatelists consider the crown jewel of American commemorative design. The $1 Western Cattle in Storm stamp from the 1898 Trans-Mississippi Exposition issue, cataloged under Scott number 292, issued by the United States Post Office Department on June 17, 1898, for the Omaha World's Fair. This iconic stamp, often nicknamed the Black Bull, was designed by Raymond Ostrander Smith and engraved by Marcus W. Baldwin and Douglas S. Ronaldson. Printed in deep black by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, on flat plate presses with perforation 12. Only 56,900 copies were issued. Amusingly, while intended to represent the ruggedness of the American West, the vignette was actually based on John McWhirter's painting The Vanguard, which depicted Scottish Highland cattle in a winter storm in Scotland. Given its rarity and status as a premier U.S. key issue, current market values reflect significant collector demand. Used single, sound copies with clear postmarks typically range from $350 to $750 depending on centering, while exceptionally fine examples can exceed $1,000. Mint hinge dog. Fine to very fine single stamps with original gum usually trade between $800 and $1,500. Mint never hinged man. Premium unhinged copies sell for $2,000 to $3,500 plus, with high-graded certificates commanding substantially more. Plate blocks and covers, rare multiples, and clean first day or contemporary covers are true auction showpieces, often reaching several thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. As one of the most famous and aesthetically celebrated stamps in world philately, the 1898 Western Cattle in Storm remains a prized centerpiece for serious postal history collections. Thank you for tuning into Stamps Old World UK, and please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below letting us know what classic stamp we should cover next.